Welcome back to part 2 of Rudolf Dreikurs Mistaken Goals Analysis of Behavior. Hello, I'm Tom McIntyre, Director of BehaviorAdvisor.com. In part 2, we will discuss the workings of the model and how we can put it into practice in our classrooms to better understand the motivation, the drive, the function, the purpose, the cause of the behavior that we need to change. When youngsters feel disconnected from others in an environment, but wish to be emotionally attached to them, they oftentimes engage in inappropriate behaviors. How would inappropriate behavior draw the affection of others? Typically it does not. However, in a desperate attempt to gain the affection of others, knowing what they've used thus far has not worked, they tend to fall through and enter various stages of misbehavior. Initially, they try to get our attention. Hey, look at me. Certainly this attention is not the positive type that the youngster seeks. However, if you're rejected, no one pays attention to you using the usual ways, at least these actions make you the center of attention. People are giving you the trappings of belonging. You're getting eye contact. Teachers and students are saying things to you. Yes, you wish they used a nicer voice tone when speaking to you, and you wish the eye contact was less glaring. But this is the best you've been able to attain thus far. For a lot of our kids, negative attention is better than no attention at all. At least I exist. At least I influence my world. If the attempts at gaining attention are crushed, the youngster may then go into a power-seeking stage and become argumentative and defiant. That doesn't work? On to revenge. That doesn't work? They may go into a withdrawn state. We will investigate each step individually so that we better comprehend why it is that a youngster would make our classroom life miserable in an attempt to gain our affection, and how we can use this desire for connection to our advantage and to the benefit of the youngster. A youngster who wants to be emotionally closer to you will initially engage in attention-seeking behavior. This behavior pattern is especially prominent in kids who struggle academically or don't get enough positive attention at home and desire it from us, but haven't learned how to get that positive attention. Because kids vying for attention from an exhausted, distracted, disinterested adult at home have learned negative ways to gain attention. To them, harsh attention trumps none at all. They then generalize these actions to the school, and guess what? They not only gain attention, but it's much less harsh than at home. There's more of a benefit or a payoff to a behavior. Now certainly blame sometimes falls at the educator's feet. The students have demonstrated appropriate behavior. Starting a task, remaining on task, completing the work, arriving at time, being nice to others. But the kids didn't receive recognition for doing so. So in the classroom they think, gee, how can I get this valued person to notice me? We then get a classic case of how teachers create the problems they complain about. Yes, while our youngsters desire positive attention from us, negative attention beats no attention at all. In the kid's mind, I exist. I influence my world. I get the trappings of belonging. These kids, like all of us, wish to belong. Our attention is valuable to them, and we must teach them how to get it in positive ways, remembering that teaching is more than telling. We must also teach ourselves to attend to appropriate behavior in order to avoid spawning inappropriate actions. So, how do your kids inappropriately seek your attention? Think of a student who has a behavior pattern that evidences pesky, irritating behaviors, ones that happen over and over again, that are repeated often. Got that youngster in mind? Perhaps the youngster asks irrelevant questions or calls out answers frequently. How do we respond to that? Perhaps the youngster fails to engage in a task or disengages from it unless someone is hovering over him or her. So we've got our suspicions. Maybe this youngster is showing these behaviors to gain my undivided attention. You know, Dreikurs told us that there are clues for discovering whether attention-seeking is the youngster's mistaken goal, what he or she is trying to attain. And the clue? We give the youngster our attention, the youngster re-engages, but then, shortly thereafter, shows that exact same behavior. If we would like to verify whether indeed this is the case, we make time to talk with the youngster, hopefully after the youngster has behaved well for a short period of time, thus earning this private moment with us. To verify whether gaining our attention is the youngster's goal, we ask him or her, "Would you like me to spend more time with you?" We say that in a concerned, polite, non-sarcastic voice. If the youngster's goal has been to get our attention, our affection, the pleased look on our face, a smile, touch, closeness, we may hear a verbal response like, "Yeah, that'd be nice." Or that nonverbal look of recognition, the sheepish grin, the lowering of the head. Let's go now to a videotape on BehaviorAdvisor.com. You can get there through the URL that's listed, or you can go to the home page of Behavior Advisor, click on Free Podcasts and Videos, find the training videos, and click on the one for Amy. I believe that she is demonstrating attention-seeking behavior. But what evidence do you notice for this stage? What might you do to address her academic concerns and her need for connection with you? Come up with some strategies that would keep her from going deeper in the mistaken goals digression. We want to nip this behavior in the bud, not have it go to a deeper, stronger, more resistant to intervention stage. Pause the podcast at this point, re-engage it when you've finished the task. If we can address the attention-seeking adequately, we can prevent Amy from moving into the power-seeking stage. What ideas should you come up with? A few that are commonly recommended are the Ask 3, Then Me strategy, that she would ask 3 other kids for assistance before she seeks assistance from you. Make sure that she fully understands the task at the beginning. Have her rephrase your directions to show that understanding. Stay with her through her initial attempts to be sure that she is succeeding. All this time, as she repeats the directions, as she demonstrates some initial success, that is when you're giving your attention. If the need for attention from valued others isn't met, and we put the kibosh on that irritating, attention-seeking behavior with our disciplinary penalties, it can often make things worse. If attention-seeking actions don't work, resentful youngsters demand our attention with non-compliance and defiance. They will question the validity of what it is you're saying. tell falsehoods, refuse to engage in academics or comply with your commands. They will be argumentative, throw a temper display, tell you to go take a long walk off a short pier, or behave in a threatening manner towards you. How can we assess whether indeed this youngster is in this stage of the mistaken goals hierarchy? When we have the chance to meet with this youngster, we ask in an assertive yet pleasant and respectful voice, when you try to prove that nobody can make you do the things you don't want to do, does that mean you're upset with us? The kid says, darn straight I'm upset with you. Do you know when... And continues on. All right. We've got some verification here. And let's take a look at the pattern of behavior. One of the signs of being in this stage is that if the youngster refuses to stop and indeed even escalates the confrontational behavior, that youngster's probably engaging in power seeking. We're going to move again to a videotape, this one of David, which you can find at the URL listed on the slide, or you can go to behavioradvisor.com's homepage, click on free podcasts and videos, click on training videos, and find the one for David. In this one, you're going to see how the display of mistaken goals can be rather complex. How does David's need to belong play out here? Why might he move to a power-seeking stage with the teacher instead of with the students who rejected him? And yes, is there something we can notice with regards to the authority held by the authority figure? There would appear to be a void here, and nature abhors a vacuum. Voids of authority will be filled by others. Please address the questions and re-engage the presentation when done. If attention-seeking or power-seeking doesn't work, resentful kids may seek revenge against you or others. Their belief? I can only feel significant if I hurt others. I'm just doing what they've done to me. I don't care if I'm disliked. It's a victory to be disliked and undergo punishment if I've retaliated and made them suffer. At its extreme, this is the mentality of the school shooter. I have been rejected. I tried to belong. I have done everything I could to connect with you folks, and I have been bullied and rejected and made to feel small. And I am justified in my actions. Others will understand. I don't care what punishment I undergo. Others will understand, and this will teach a lesson. One need only go to the worship sites of school shooters and read the commentary of those who visited. Invariably they say, I understand. I understand the motivation behind what these kids do. I would never do it myself, but I understand their motivation. Thus the need to clamp down on bullying, to engage in anti-bullying efforts at the school. But at its lesser extreme, what we typically face, it will not be done face-to-face. The vengeful acts of kids who are seeking revenge are usually perpetrated in a concealed manner or at an unexpected time. They might treat others cruelly. Gee, how is that revenge against you? Ah, you can't protect your students, which is part of your job. Or they use threatened aggression or in-your-face aggression against some valued possessions. Maybe they do things to be punished. Why would being punished for, say, threatening the aggression or exhibiting object aggression against your valued possessions, how would that be revenge against you? Oh, the fear that they impose or the image they present to others that you can't make them do anything. And you know what? They're right. and they take up your time. Now you need to fill out forms, meet with parents, attend meetings, conduct assessments. This student has become the center of your work world, an errant way of gaining belonging. So, how do we assess whether we're right? Well, in a concerned, polite manner, in a non-sarcastic voice, when we do have the time to sit with that youngster, we say, "When you did that, were you trying to hurt me because you're angry with me?" "Damn straight I'm angry with you," and then the story continues on. You say, "Ah, verified." In order to more fully illustrate the revenge stage of mistaken goals, allow me to regale you with a story. I was teaching in a school district that shall remain unnamed, but I had a self-contained classroom of kids with severe behavioral disorders. As they made progress and they proved themselves over time, they earned the privilege of once again attending general education classes. Some of my kids were mainstreamed, as we called it at that time, into a math class where the teacher bragged, "Nobody acts up in my classroom." Oh, he had a quick but caustic wit, and he kept those kids in line, as he would say. Any offense, no matter how small, looking out the window, erasing, because you should have gotten it right the first time, thinking too loud, he would zing them with some awful comment about how he's seen better heads on pimples and better heads on beers and things along that line. Well, my kids didn't put up with that. At least not on the first day, but things would change. Initially, they would come back with some equally caustic street remark, at which time it would just set off this teacher, who would, one after another, keep zinging them with put-down comments until my kids would just want to shrink under the desk. Yes, he had that class clamped down. He didn't put up with any monkey business. Yes, he kept the lid on the pot, so to speak, but when the kids came back to my classroom, I was the one who had to smell what got burned. I had kids with such pent-up emotion who, coming back into a safe environment, let out their feelings to a trusted, trustworthy, reliable individual. Me. This math teacher did not, in my mind, meet the criteria for having reached the epitome of collegiality or excellence in teaching. Well, one day I was going to the lunchroom where I would sit with some of my colleagues. He would oftentimes be there. I walked in to see him red-faced and tearful. I said, what happened? Fill me in. What happened? He said, "I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Why would kids do such a thing?" I said, "Do what? Do what?" Well, he owned a classic Mercedes-Benz. He was so proud of that. It had the pinhole leather because where I was teaching, it was still hot in September, October, and even into November. We would roll down our windows, yes, we rolled them down at that time, to allow some air to ventilate through our cars as they sat out there in the teacher's parking lot. Well, it seems that some kids stuffed flaming toilet paper and tablet paper into the interior of his car and set it on fire. He's saying, "How could they do such a thing to me?" And I wanted to say, "'Cause you're a mean, ornery son of a bee and the kids hate you." But you don't say that. You say, oh, yes, that was terrible. But there's a lesson to be learned here. History tells us that from the oppressed masses will arise opposition, weak at first, but capable of isolated hit-and-run tactics. You've heard about the Stage 3 discipline Nazis in some of my other podcasts. Those mean, ornery, cantankerous, burr-under-the-saddle teachers who I think have their underwear on backwards and is cutting off circulation to their brain. Yes, we need structure. We need organization in our classrooms. But if we want to be fully effective in motivating our kids to put forth their best effort academically and behaviorally, we've got to form positive interpersonal bonds with our kids. Because you gotta like the messenger if you're gonna listen to the message. They've tried to connect with us, but we didn't hear their message. We didn't decipher the code. We thought that the best way to deal with the aberrant actions was to crush them with powerful penalties. However, in doing so, we made it harder for great teachers to reach and teach these kids. We extinguished the lamp of learning. We made them feel small and insignificant. Underneath the emboldened power-seeking stage and the aggression of the revenge-seeking stage was deep disillusionment and discouragement. Rejection by others eventually makes them feel worthless. They think, why even try anymore? Discouraged kids guard what's left of their self-esteem by removing themselves from public and social tests. They think, if I pretend to be stupid or refuse to cooperate, people will leave me alone. How do we determine if a youngster has entered the inadequacy stage? Again, we find time to meet with that youngster, and in a concerned, polite wording and non-sarcastic tone of voice, we say, when you pretend that you're not capable of doing this work, are you trying to make me go away? Oh man, just go away. Aha, verified. So we've gone through the various mistaken goals. Let's take a short 2-question quiz. As each slide appears, stop the presentation and see if you can determine which of the mistaken goals is in play for this particular youngster. Perhaps our most distressful experience as a teacher is when we have a capable student who we just can't get to put forth an effort. Which mistaken goal did you select as being present? Using the Rosetta Stone for mistaken goals, I selected inadequacy stage. Dreikurs said that we could tell which stage a youngster was in by how we felt. Annoyed and irritated, that pesky behavior? Attention-seeking. Wow, this kid is really coming on strong. I'm feeling threatened. Power struggle, power-seeking stage. I feel saddened and hurt. How could somebody have done this to something I value so much? Yes, revenge. And in the slide we just viewed, we're disheartened. Yes, we're trying our best. This kid could rise up. Why won't he or she put forth the effort? This is so distressing to me. Yes, the youngster's in the inadequacy stage. Another way to identify a youngster's mistaken goal is to discern the form of the behavior. If the behavior stops, but then repeats soon thereafter, we've given our dose of attention to the youngster, but the youngster's ready for a second dose, attention-seeking. Refusing to stop, in fact escalating the situation. The struggle for power and dominance, power-seeking. The youngster becomes violent or hostile, typically away from us, typically done in a subversive way. That would be the revenge-seeking stage. And the refusal to put forth effort? Yes, inadequacy. So let's take a look at this next slide. Which mistaken goal is present for this student? Alrighty then. We've got our brains wrapped around the mistaken goals model, but how do we use it to help our kids make better behavior choices? First of all, we find the time to speak with the youngster and let them know that they're not the first person to ever experience this, unfortunately. But experts are familiar with it. It's been studied for quite a while, and we have ways to help you meet your need for belonging. We then assist that youngster in devising a plan to meet those personal needs for bonding in more appropriate ways. And then it's up to us to change how we react in situations. We have to change up the C in the ABC model and then teach that youngster the appropriate replacement behavior, which we then prompt and positively recognize. Of course, we're always looking for opportunities to develop positive interpersonal bonds with this youngster and involve this youngster in with positive groups so they develop that sense of team. Something we want to create in our classrooms is a sense of we are in this together. We are a supportive group. It's time now to put it all together. In the packet that accompanies this presentation, the one that has the slides in which you enter in some information, you will also find some slides that contain strategies for addressing the various mistaken goals. On this next slide, you see how to locate a video in which we would like you to identify the mistaken goal and brainstorm with others as to how you would respond to this youngster to help him or her develop appropriate behaviors and be able to connect with important others. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm Tom McIntyre, or at least that's what they've been telling me all my life. Keep teaching them well.